Okay.
Okay.
Meet Dr. Maria Tamay, a general dentist from Queens, New York. She graduated from Stony Brook School of Dental Medicine 23 and completed a residency at NYU Langone in Brooklyn. Hopefully, I'm probably pronouncing that right. Now she works in different dental offices, gaining experiences in all kinds of patient care. Dr. Tamay is passionate about serving her community, improving smiles, and continuously growing in her profession.
Yeah.
Introduce myself
Oh,
too,
yeah.
like really
All right.
quickly.
All
Yeah.
right, Maria, you got this.
All right. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you guys.
It's my dad.
Hola, Felipe.
Hola,
That's my
Mari.
cousin, guys.
¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás? Bien, gracias.
Saludos, prima. Saludos.
Igual, un abrazo. Te
Yeah,
extraño.
yeah, guys. For everyone, she's my dad's cousin, so we're practically family.
A little pivot. All right. Hi, guys. I'm Dr. Maria Tamay. I just recently graduated about like a year and a half ago, so I'm fairly like new to the game, but I'm a general dentist and I'm working now like part-time in two offices. So I'm getting a lot of experience trying to figure out what I want to actually like focus on. And I think I finally narrowed it down this week, so it'd be great to get to know you guys too.
Thank you so
All
much
right.
for that introduction. What educational path did you take to become a dentist, and what are the requirements for dental school?
So basically, I had to go through 4 years of undergrad, which is like college. And there I majored in human biology. You don't have to major in like anything science. You just have to make sure that you take like all the science courses that are required for the school that you want to attend to. Generally, they're all pretty much the same. Some might require like an extra biochemistry course. But after that, then I did 4 years of dental school. And in order to get into dental school, you have to take an exam. That's like one of those like proctored exams where you're in a pretty cool like building and they're watching you. There's cameras everywhere. So they kind of test your whole knowledge on like sciences, math, reading. But apparently they're changing the format this coming year to be similar to like the way they grade the MCAT. So I wouldn't know too much about that at this point.
Great response. Katya,
Sorry,
do you
guys.
want
I got a little disconnected.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll do the question. What were the most important college classes that helped you prepare you for dental school?
So very non-controversial, but definitely art classes. I think that, yeah. So I took a lot of like ceramics, like pottery classes that my school offered, and it helped a lot with like the hands-on skills and like the creativity. In general, you do have to take a lot of science courses in dental school your first year. So anything you take in like college will always help out there, which is like biology, chemistry. You don't really do like any physics or math stuff in dental school, but you will do like a lot of anatomy, biochemistry, like molecules, pathogens, like the little intricacies. So if you at least you know the foundations of the sciences in college, you'll kind of be set.
Our next question is, can you walk me through the dental school application process and what made your application stand out?
Okay, so the application is online and it has several parts. I wish I had it on screen, but it has at least like 8 different parts that you have to get into. And the first is the most like common one, your contact information, everything about you. There's like always a section for like a disadvantage, like if you feel like you grew up like disadvantaged in a way, and you kind of just write a little story as to how. And there's many ways that disadvantage qualifies. It's not just being a minority, it's like low income, where the area where you grew up, like that's a chance for like them to get to know you. And then there's a section where you kind of have to explain like different dental experiences that you had, work experiences that you had. You had to put your whole transcript from like undergrad on there. And I believe what made me stand out was doing a lot of like externships, like shadowing dentists in my area, working in a dental office. Basically doing internships that has like anything dental related, volunteering at a hospital where they have like a dental clinic. There's so many things available. You literally just have to ask and like seek out. At first, that I kind of just focused on like volunteering in like the emergency department of like literally like scrolling things. But then you work your way up, so at least they should know that you're in the health field, and you
Someone
get to
put
know people.
someone put a question in the chat. We should do that in the Q&A because we're gonna have a Q&A, so whoever can ask questions then. So yeah, just for the people that are in the.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll do the fourth question. How long did it take you to become a dentist, and what were the major milestones along the way?
So it took me out of high school 9 years. It took me 9 years because it's 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of dental school. And then in New York, you have to do 1 year of residency where you're kind of working under a hospital or a clinic, not under your own license, which is nice because you kind of get an actual experience of what it's like to see a lot of patients. And what was the other part of the question?
It said, and what were the major milestones along the way?
The major milestones. Definitely like each year, just getting closer to it. Actually seeing patients is nice. I went to a school which was very small that they only took about like 45 kids. A lot of other dental schools, especially like private ones, take about like 150 to 300 students. So it's very easy to get lost in the crowd and you kind of like become a number. So that's very important when deciding what dental school you want to go to. So every milestone was nice because in my school, we started off seeing patients our first year, where a lot of schools start off like their third year, and then you kind of just bump up from there. So every little thing, like doing a little filling or like numbing someone was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like it's so cool. And now it's just second nature. So you get the hang of it each year.
All right. What was the most challenging and rewarding aspects of your 4 years in dental school?
Challenging was all the classes you had to balance. So it's like you're so like in demand. Like think about it this way where you're taking a semester's worth of like school, right? In high school or whatever, all those classes you take one semester, condense that into 3 months repetitively for the next 4 years. So it's like it's a lot of information loaded at once, but you kind of get through it because you have like friends or you study together. So it was definitely challenging being able to manage that and like having a soft girl life and having fun outside of it. But it's all about time management. It was fun.
Okay. Did you participate in any internship programs? How did they prepare you for your career?
Yeah, in undergrad, I did a career development program called America Needs You. I'm pretty sure at that time it was in New York, but I'm pretty sure they're in Connecticut now too, and they're like different parts of the country. Definitely search it up. It's a program geared for like first generation students who have like no experience, like their parents, like you know what first generation means. So basically, it's a 2 year commitment, and you're kind of paired with a mentor who guides you. Who it doesn't have to be necessarily in the healthcare field. A lot of them were in like finance and like lawyers, and they give you a mentor, and you're basically paired with them to do like career development and projects. So and then you start to network, which is like very important in the field or in any field you want to get into. You have to know how to speak to people. So that was very helpful. I did that. And then I did a very cool internship in like UCLA for 6 weeks, which was like super cool. You guys should look into it. It's called Summer Health Professional Education Program, SHPP. And it's not just at UCLA, they have one like in all over like the country, different schools that they do. And essentially what it is they have a like a pre-health route for kids that are interested in going either into like medicine, vet, like nursing, dental. And you're there for like 6 weeks doing like classes, getting experience like hands-on. You meet a lot of people, they pay for your boarding, they pay for like all the food you eat, you dorm at the college. It's pretty cool. It's a nice experience. I did that. I did like Hispanics healthcare, something like that. I forgot. But basically a lot of like career stuff to like get good at like meeting people, a lot of volunteering in like hospitals or like any outreaches. Like if people want to go, it's very common with like pediatric dentistry, which are kids, that you kind of go to like schools and like teach them a little bit about like dentistry, which is what I did with NYU. NYU has a program where, and they're also like virtual, I believe too, but it's a program where they also pair you with mentors, and you one day of the week you go to like a public school and you like kind of help out the dental students at that time, just like assist them with things, and they're like doing fillings or stuff on little kids in school, and you just get an experience. So any little thing that you could get into, just do it. Just do it. Anything, build up your resume.
Awesome. What exams did you have to take to get into dental school, and what licensing exams were required to practice?
Okay, so to get into dental school, you have to take what's called a DAT, and dental admissions, something like that. It's called the DAT. And in that exam is what I was telling you guys, you're tested on like all the sciences that you learned and like reading. And it's a pretty long exam. I think it was like 8 hours long, and they give you the results right then. So it's a little nerve-wracking. And basically that one kind of gives you an average, which you use to apply. So that is like how you become a little bit more competitive in the process. They look at that score. It's graded out of 30. So I got a 21, which is like the medium route, and I got in. So don't like let that discourage you if you have like low grades on that. Some people will like take it again if they get like below a 21 or they get like a 19, just to be a little bit more competitive. But that's to get into dental school. Once you're in dental school, you have to take what are called national boards, which is an exam that has two parts. And oh no. This exam now is one part. Well, basically it's a mixture of everything you learned in dental school, also condensed in like 8 hours of exams, and they're all like at random. But there are a lot of like Facebook groups or like Facebook groups or like Reddits where they'll have like sample questions that were used in that time that you could practice off of. And it's a little hectic, but if you study for like a month, you're like set. So that was crazy. And then there's also an exam that's called the CDCA. And the CDCA is an exam that you take, and it's more of a hands-on clinical exam for you to practice like across the country or like in another state. If you don't want, like if you want to stay in New York, like you don't have to take that exam. But if you want to go to another place, they'll require that exam just to show that you're qualified as a dentist. So, and they're all pretty expensive. They're at least like $1,000 like for each of them. But you could get some funding. There's sometimes like scholarships or like funding that you can get, but it's a lot of exams.
Okay. I'll move on to the next question. How was the interview process for dental school? Any tips for standing out?
Yeah, I feel that it was a little casual, much more casual than I expected. But there were times that it depends on who you get. You don't know who you get till the day of your interview. And sometimes you'll meet with a dean, and sometimes you'll meet with a professor who's super chill. So you have to know how to like navigate those situations. And I think at first I had a crazy like experience with the school that I actually got into that I thought I wasn't gonna get into. But she was like all these classes that, because she's like this scientist that's like super into research, and I don't like research because I don't know, it's just not my thing. And she was like, she basically told me that I took like easy classes. How are you gonna like manage the stress of dental school? And I was like, well, I did so well in like all these other courses, so that just shows something. And like it's like little things that you gotta know how to like, I don't know exactly what I said. I was like thrown off for a bit, but you gotta know how to just pivot it. And you just have to laugh, smile all the time. That goes a long way. And like be cool with what they say. Like they're obviously trying to test if they could get to like your like into your nerves or stuff. If like you can tolerate the stress.
All right, thank you. I think this is similar to what someone asked, but what was your experience like finding a job after dental school, and how competitive is the job market for dentists?
So definitely speaking Spanish has its perks, because being bilingual, if in any language, will always give you like an up. I literally went on like the internet. I think I went on Indeed for like one of them, but for it wasn't that hard. It like I always go in with the mindset that like what can you do for me instead of being nervous as to oh my gosh, they won't like me, they won't hire me, because then you give off that kind of energy. It's like you can't have that. Like you always have to go in with the mindset like what will this experience working here do for me? Like do I like these people or not? Like you're also interviewing them because you're going to be going there every single day. And it's not it's competitive in one way, but not really. Like you literally apply and there everyone's looking for a job. Like there's always a need for a dentist, which is like why it's a great career, because I don't think we'll ever be without a job. I don't think robots will replace us. There's always like a need, and then you get like paid like a minimum at least, even if you don't see patients or if like they cancel. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you. How did you build a strong resume in college to prepare for job opportunities?
So that A&Y program, they specialize a lot in resumes too. So then anytime we would write resumes, it's like similar to going to like your college, like college career center, where they'll like look at your resume and tell you how to fix things. I'm sure with like AI, it's probably easier now. We didn't have that back then. But what made me stand out was doing a lot of like anything related in healthcare, and a lot of things of those like the volunteering goes such a long way. Like it's really, even if you volunteer like at a soup kitchen or something, like it shows a lot about the kind of person you are. That and then just making sure that you're at every moment, at every semester, you're doing something. It's not like you took a break one semester because you worked so hard and then you didn't do anything. Like you got to lock in. You got to like at every semester have something planned that you're doing. So the semester before you have to like look into what you're gonna do next. If not, then like a 1 to 2 month break. Because then it's like, why can't you? They want to see that you could handle like doing things outside of school while being in school.
Nice. What is a typical day like in your career as a dentist?
It's it's honestly like very very random. Like I don't know what my page who I'm seeing until like I get into the office. And I remember like in dental school, I would always like you only see like one patient a day in dental school, one or two patients, and you're given like 5 hours for them. So you have easily enough time to prepare in advance because you know who you're seeing. But like here in the real life, you're seeing minimum 10 patients, 10 to like 17. Today I saw like 15, and but the good thing is that like you have an assistant, so they're helping you and they're setting up everything for you. Like in dental school, you're the office manager, you're the assistant, you're the advocate, you're everything. Like you have to suction for yourself, set up for yourself, vouch for yourself, get to the building by yourself. But it shows you resilience. But my life is pretty like it varies. Like some days are super chill and some days are super busy because not every patient's the same. Like you'll go in thinking that it's a simple filling, and then you like the x-ray doesn't show you everything until you go in there and it's like bombed out, and now you're spending like an hour in the tooth, and then everyone else is waiting for you behind, like you're super behind. So it gets a little crazy. Like sometimes it's like 10, 15 minutes of lunch, and like, but it depends on the office that you work at. Like some offices, if it takes a lot of like Medicaid or like government like based insurances, they tend to pay much less to providers than like private insurances. But so then you have to see a lot more patients to make up for it, as opposed to being in a private office where you have the luxury of like having an hour for an exam. But in those cases, you have to like kind of educate the patients a lot as to why they should do treatment, because at the end of the day, you also want to get paid.
Thank you.
All right. What are the biggest challenges you face as a dentist?
Looking super young is a challenge. They think that I don't have like the credentials or the expertise to do what I do, or like sometimes they're very hesitant, or they'll request like the doctor that has like 50 like 30 plus years of experience on me, and I can't just be like offended, because I mean I would too if like I see someone young, I might be like, yo, like, do you know what you're doing? But it's a little challenging, but also rewarding because it shows like how much you don't know, but you also do know. So that's a little hard. Um, it's also a little hard, like understanding the finances of like how to speak for yourself and like or how to negotiate contracts. Like those are some things that they don't really teach you in like dental school or in life about like where to invest on, how to pay things off on time. Like they just teach you about teeth stuff and not the reality. So that's where your mentors come in. So that's a little challenging, but nowadays, like on Instagram, there's so many like groups of people that like have like programs for these things that you can look into. And TikTok.
All right. What are some pros and cons of working in the dental field?
So some cons are like some days you'll get like blood on your face or like spit on, like it's like everything's everywhere. The tongue is the strongest muscle in the body. So like imagine you're trying to like take a filling and like do a cavity and then the tongue's in the way, so you got to press it this way. So like you're like it gets physically laboring on the like shoulders and neck. Like I need like mandatory massages like twice a week, but you kind of like, I mean, if you stretch, like you're good, but some days like I'm like too lazy to stretch. So it could get physically demanding. But the nice thing is like the reason I love it is you literally like make people smile. Like you change them, like you can actually get someone out of pain like super quick. Like you see the physical difference of what you're doing on someone as opposed to like prescribing them a medication and hoping like they get better in like a week or so. Like if somebody comes in with a chipped tooth, you fix it and like they're so happy. Like imagine them going around like a week like that. Like they'll be like, what will that do to your self-esteem? Like nobody wants to go out. Like they'll wear a mask or stuff. So it's like the little things like that. Like I really love just like the aesthetics of it. So it's super fun to be able to help out and like you talk to people, like you get to know them, like what they do outside of like your life. There's a lot, like everyone does something different in our society and it's so cool to get to know them.
Yes. All right. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome in the field? If so, how did you overcome it?
I experience it every day. Like but I recently heard a podcast where it was like don't let basically like make friends with your like imposter syndrome. Like it's not a bad thing. It just shows you things that you're like you got to work on in yourself, but you just you kind of just fake it till you make it. Like that's really what it is. You don't know it, but you go in there and like I have a lot of faith in God. Like I think the reason I got to where I'm at was because of my faith. And I believe like God places you where you're supposed to be. So if I'm in that situation and I'm like stressed out, like I'll always just do like a little prayer or like I'll talk to God, like, you know, God got me, like, God, you got this, like, this is your hands, like, show me what to do. And like, I literally get through it. Like, you get through the day. And also having, like mentors is very important. Like if I have a question about an x-ray that I'm like really questioning, I'll just like text a doctor I know, like I'll send them a picture or like your dental school friends, like you'll be like, what do you guys think of this and stuff? And then like more often than not, like you'll get ideas. So it's really good to have friends that are like specializing and stuff. Like I have friends that are going into surgery or root canals and stuff. So like any little thing I'll be like, hey, what would you do? And then they'll text you back. So you just fake it till you make it.
As a woman in the medical field slash like a person of color, have you faced any unique challenges and how did you navigate them?
Yes, and I mean, it's easy to see like your color or like who you are as like a disadvantage in some ways, but like people will try to like kind of put you down. But to me, I love it. I love who I am. I love being a woman. I love being Hispanic. I love my color. Like being tan is like amazing. Like any color that you have, like you got to embrace it. So like anything people say to me is like I always think of it as it's a reflection of them. It's a reflection of what they're thinking and what they're going through on the inside. So I don't take anything personally. But there are times where like I'll see some patients, especially like in one of the offices that I work on is like mainly like private patients, so they're like of money and they'll be a little bit but like you could tell by their social like the way they act, like how much more reserved they are to see you as opposed to see somebody else who doesn't look like you. And it's like, well, I'm here. Like, if you don't want to see me, that's fine. That's your thing. But it's not personal at the end of the day. You just let them be. Like, it's always gonna be in life. In life, you'll always have problems, but you gotta show. I heard this in mass yesterday. Like, you gotta show, like, tell these problems how big your God is. Like, at the end of the day, like, there's no problem. You'll never go a day without problems. So you gotta embrace it.
Okay, how did you manage work-life balance throughout college and dental school?
So in college, I did work, but I worked like 1 to 2 days a week, depending on the semester. I was blessed enough to like live at home and have like my parents kind of like sustain me. So I didn't have to worry about finances much, but it was definitely rewarding because as somebody trying to go in a dental field, where would you work in a dental field just so you get more exposure and you meet people? So I was like assisting the dentist and like working as a receptionist for like the 4 years that I was there. And it was nice because it reminds you at the end of the day why you're studying like so hard for an exam because you want to get to this point. And like full circle, like I work with that dentist now as like an associate for her. So it's like it's rewarding to see like the growth of it. And but in dental school, it's very hard to work. It's literally like a job. Like dental being a dental student is like a whole career in itself. So I think there was like that time during COVID when we were like remote where I was going into the office like once a week or so, but nothing like crazy. I wasn't taking on a lot of tasks. Like once again, I was blessed to have parents that were very supportive. And then you take off loans to kind of maintain yourself.
What advice would you give to someone considering a career in dentistry?
Go for it. I think it's very rewarding. It sounds intimidating. 9 years is like crazy, but it flies by. Like I'm 27 and I like this is such a great career. Like you make good money, you help people smile, you meet a lot of like cool people that do some crazy stuff. You're a doctor at the end of the day, you get some perks. You wear scrubs. Like scrubs are super cute. I don't know if you guys don't like scrubs, but like you could really make a nice fit out of it. You wear a cool like lab coat. You like it's there's just so much benefits that like at the end of the day you're doing something for the community. It's not just for you. Like it's very selfish to feel like I love to make people smile, but like they're getting something out of it too. And at the end of the day, like think about all the people you meet. Everyone has teeth. Like being a dentist is always in demand, and you'll always find like a job. Like there'll never be no like I don't think there'll ever be a scarcity for a job. So that's nice because I hear a lot of people that are like remote working and they're like getting laid off and stuff, and like it sounds so cool to be like in corporate, but then it's such a different style. Like my boyfriend's in corporate and I went to visit his office in the city and it looks like being in the library. Like everyone's on the computers and like la la la, like everyone's to themselves, and like I was like cringing. I'm like no, like you don't have any like socialization. So I think it's an amazing field. Just go for it. Like there's nothing that will stop you. If it's your plan, like I got you.
Okay. How can students gain hands-on experience in the dental field? Who should they reach out to for shadowing opportunities?
Literally go on Google Maps, search up dentist. This is what I did. This is literally what I did like to get like my assisting job. Basically first I asked to shadow. Nobody's gonna pay you if you have zero experience. So in my opinion, just like suck it up, go shadow. Shadowing is basically where you go to a dental office and you observe the dentist for the day. And then they like that. They love it. Like they who doesn't like to be asked things, you know, and like feel like they know what they're doing. So you just go and observe, you ask them questions and you be super engaged. And then you'll like find up like jobs or connections yourself. But the biggest thing I did was I looked up the dentists around me. I printed out like my resume. At that time, it was like barely anything. I had worked at Walgreens. I had was in school. Like I had like no like little things, but I had to show them my interest. And then you make a cover letter. And in the cover letter, you say who you are, you're interested in like going into the field and stuff. And for every cover letter, I put the doctor's name of the ones around me in the like Google Maps. I did like copy paste, copy paste. I printed them all out and I went in person. Like, don't email that stuff. Like, no one's gonna read it. No one's gonna reach out to you. Don't call them. No, you gotta go in person. You gotta introduce yourself, and it's gonna be nerve wracking. You're gonna get a lot of no's. I got like a lot of no's, and I was like, well, it's fine. Like, it just wasn't meant for me. And then you'll get some yeses, or like I'll think about it. But like literally when I was giving up, I was like done. And then I went to that dental office and they happened to be eating lunch. So then I was like, hey, like I introduced myself and they were like, are you like looking to get paid? And I'm like, no, not at all. Like I just want to like learn. I want to like kind of get my foot in the door. And they were like, all right, like come in Friday. And then I just started observing, started helping out. And then like you kind of get the hang of it. And they'll always want like a helping hand because it's always busy in the office. And then you take it out from there. But you gotta take initiative.
Thank you for that. Kati, do you want to read out the next question or should I?
Yeah, I'll read it out. Can you go more in depth? Like, what is the summer health professions education program? Yeah.
Yeah.
How can it help students who are interested into becoming a dentist?
I'm gonna paste the name in the chat.
So it's a program that basically what they do is, yeah, definitely search it up. But what they do is try to like help people out for free, just figure out what they want to do. And it's mainly for like your first or second year of college, because ideally you want to be applying to dental school your third year if you don't want to take a gap year. So in your junior year, you should be applying, because in your senior year is when you're getting interviews and stuff. And then you want to be like set up for the next one. That's if you don't want to take a gap year. If you want to take a gap year, by all means, some people do. I just wanted to get it done with, so I went through with it. But the summer health professional education program is like it's a program where you're paired with like, I don't know, maybe there's like 60 kids or so from like all over the country. And like I remember my first day, you get there, you're in dorms, you get like food, and then you don't know anyone, but then they do like group activities and stuff. It's so fun. Like you do like obviously everyone's is different, but like you do some rock climbing, you do like some getting to know people. Then you're in like assembly room, so it's like a 9 to 5 kind of vibe. And like part of the day, like they divide you guys up. You're doing like lectures about like health things, but the whole program is to like address disparities in healthcare, which is basically addressing the fact that like a lot of people don't have access to like a doctor, they don't have access to a dentist. Like these are people that live in like pueblitos, like in like little cities where they don't have those things. So their main goal is to get dentists to kind of give back to the community in a way. But you have to apply, I think it was like an essay, you got to get like 2 letters of recommendations. And I'm on the website, like there are schools you get to go to is Columbia, Howard, Rutgers, University of Louisville, Texas, Houston, Washington, Nebraska, Iowa, California, Alabama, and Western University of Health Sciences. So some of these have like dental schools in itself, so it's very like good to like look into that.
Thank you. I'm gonna move on. So we had some questions from the RSVP form. So I'm gonna ask some that have not been answered yet. So how do you typically explain complex dental procedures to patients in a clear way?
Okay. You gotta like baby it down. Like you basically have to pretend you're speaking to like your mom who doesn't know anything. And the biggest thing like is diagrams. Basically, like you always want to have like a little typodont, like a tooth. And you want to have one of those that has basically like what an implant looks like, what a crown looks like, because a lot of these people are visual learners. Like you tell them they have cavities and they're like, what's that? Like, how do you get that? And people are like, oh, I need a filling that costs $200. Why am I going to do that? My tooth doesn't hurt. Well, like, of course, cavities are like silent. They're not going to hurt. Once it starts to hurt, it's super bad. Like it's too late. So you have to kind of explain it to them in a way where they see it. A lot of pictures, a lot of videos on YouTube. You got to see like their understanding. But the biggest thing I do is kind of ask them, I'm like, so based off what I said, like what questions do you have, or like what are you still not clear of? Can you explain it back to me, just to make sure you understand what I'm saying, and then you'll see that, oh, maybe they didn't get this part or not, and then you could draw it out for them. But it's like you gotta pretend you're talking to like a little baby.
Okay. How do you stay updated on the latest dental research / consistently evolve your method of treatment?
So nowadays with social media, it's really cool because you get to like see a lot of like cool like dentists that are in the field, and they'll post like pictures and stuff, and then you'll see their things. But like I used to get this thing like emailed to me, but now it's like virtual, but it's like the JADA, they call it, the Journal of the American Dental Association. So what this basically has is like a lot of research articles that get updated monthly, and they kind of tell you things that they're researching about dentistry, and you stay up to date with it. But these are things that like even in dental school they make you do. Like you got to be up to date with what they're doing or not. And I get that emails. You get a lot of things like mailed to you when you're part of like the dental association. So it's good to like stay up to date with that. And then there's always like little counties. So there's like the New York County Dental Association, the Queens County one, and they'll always have meetings depending on how active they are. And they have like for New York, they have a lot of like new dentist meetings. So I go to that and like kind of network with people and see what they're up to and like what procedures they're doing. It's all about asking. You can stay stagnant and like do what you know if you don't go and network and you kind of like think you know it all. But if you have the idea that you don't know it all, like you'll always learn something. So don't ever think like you're done learning. Like you'll always learn at the end of the day, because that will make you the best clinician for your patients.
Thank you. So what made you choose your career specialty like out of other medical careers?
Like dentistry or like the specialty in dentistry?
Both. Yeah, could be both.
So dentistry itself, I chose it because, like I said, like I'm a very visual person. I like to work with my hands. I like to see the difference. And that's like I used to always like paint my nails and stuff. So like you would always do like little arts and stuff like on it. And I thought it was fun. Like in a way, like teeth are kind of like nails. Like you use like similar instruments, but it's like more science involved in it. And I was always good in sciences, so I kind of like paired those together. And it wasn't until I volunteered and saw like their kind of day to day that I was like, well, this is kind of cool. Like, and you could get paid really good for this. Like, sure, like why not? Let's look into it. But in dentistry itself, there's so many routes you could take. Like there's so like I'm in general. So general is like what everyone graduates with as a dentist, like from dental school. If you want to go into like ortho, which is like does braces, like you need 3 more years of like studying. If you want to go into endo, which is like root canals, you need a year of residency and then 2 years of like extra training in endodontics itself. If you want to go into periodontics, which is like a lot to deal with the gums and the bones, that's another 3 years of studying. If you want to go into oral surgery, it's either 4 to 6 years, depending. Like if you want the MD title, which is like the MD like on top of your name, that's 6 years of like extra work. Um, if you what is there also? There's like more, but you have to do like additional training for it, and then you got to compete because these spots are like limited, and for the most part, you don't get paid for them, so you got to take off loans for those. But it's kind of like an investment for yourself. Oh, there's pediatrics. There's like with kids, that's like 2 more years of studying. But kids are like one of the toughest ones. I'm not gonna lie. It's like it's a lot of behavioral work, kind of like calming them down, and I don't have the patience for that. But the good thing is, like, depending on your dental school, like, they should be able to rotate you around all these programs, like all these clinics, especially if they have the specialty there. So you can, like, if something interests you, you'll be like, hey, I just want to shadow you guys for a little. And, like, you're already at the school, so why not take advantage of that? But for me, like, I did a residency where I'm not on call, and I don't know if you guys know what on call means. Is like when you're in a hospital, like they'll beep you, like you literally have like the beepers, like pagers, and they'll like be like you have to come in for an emergency, like at the random time, like you're on call for like 24, 48 hours. And that's just not the lifestyle I envisioned for myself. Like I like to work and I like to have fun. I like to chill. So I did one which doesn't have any of that, which is called an AEGD. in advanced education in general dentistry. The other one is called a general practice residency, which is like based with a hospital. So you're doing some cool stuff. Like you're doing like you're anesthetizing, like they're like falling asleep, like you're in the OR, like the oral surgery room. You're doing some crazy stuff, but in my opinion, if you're not going into that field, like there's never a day right now in general dentistry that I see that, so it wasn't worth my time. So I did the other route until I kind of figured out what I want to do with my career. And even till now, like the past few months, I'm like, I literally don't know. I kind of like it all. Like I like the diversity of it. But I realized that I like aesthetics a lot. So I'm going to the convention for like the cosmetic dentistry in April in San Diego. And you get to take some courses, and I'm so excited because like you get to learn cool things and like do veneers and like prepare for like different like do like bonding on things, which is like I realize at the end of the day what I like, because it's nice to see someone have like a beautiful smile, and like you see someone with like different crowns and you're like, well, what do they do there? Like different colors, like everything's off. So I like the aesthetics of it. So it seems like I'm leaning into that. We'll see in a year where I'm at.
Okay. What do you think stood out most in your resume? If you had the chance to reapply to colleges, what more would you do to add? What would you do to add to your resume or essays as such and such?
So for college, I went to CUNY. So I went to the City of Universities in New York. It's like a state school for New York. So I remember that one, like for New Yorkers, it was kind of basically free because you get like stipends for it. So in my opinion, if you could go to college for free, do it, because like you don't want to be in that debt on top of dental school debt, and that debt just keeps piling on while you're in school, like, and the interest rates is super high. I I went to the same school where like people from Columbia went to, people from like Ivy Leagues, and you both come out with the same degree. So I think at the end of the day, it's what you do while in college that will make you stand out. It's not really the name itself, unless you like the name, go for it. Like if you love that like title of it, then by all means. But you gotta also realize how much money you're investing into it. But what made me stand out, I don't know, I kind of just like applied and had good grades. You gotta have a good GPA. I was always like top of my class, but I generally, I don't know, I just don't think I was like the smartest either. It's all about just like hustling, like doing the work on time, learning what you got to learn for the exams, like being like studying all the time, and then like passing it, and then you'll just do good.
Thank you. What high school classes would prepare a high school student for the topics for dentistry? And what major, I think you talked about this a little bit, but what major would you recommend to study in college?
So high school classes, um, honestly, what helped in college was I took AP Calculus, and like AP classes will help you in a way, but you gotta like I didn't do too good on the exam itself, so had to take the class anyway in college. But I guess it helped in a way. Um, I don't like high school was, oh my gosh, high school this year will be 10 years. Isn't that crazy? It'll be my 10-year reunion.
You look so young, right?
Yeah.
I know, right? I'm 27, guys. I'm 27. But it's I don't remember much of high school. I just remember that I took a lot of like math sciences and stuff. And then I had to take it again in college. Because unless you get like a 4 or 5, then the credits don't even transfer over. And I remember that being too difficult. But in college, literally major in whatever like makes you happy. Just make sure you take the classes that you need to take for dental school. So my major, kind of like all the classes I needed for dental school went under the same major. So I was like, yeah, let's do that. So I don't have to take extra classes. Like work smarter, not harder.
Thank you.
Yes.
We can move on. Those are the questions from the people who RCP'd for like the Q&A. So, people who are in the session, if you want to share out any like specific questions you had or anything that wasn't answered, now would be a good time. You can put it in the chat or you could just like speak out loud. So, yeah.
I'm sorry if I missed this, but what's the total schooling time for your job?
So if you're in New York, you have to do 1 year of residency. I don't think that's the case for like a lot of other states, but I had to do 9 years of schooling after high school. But well, schooling itself, I'd say 8 years. In order to be licensed to actively practice, I had to do 1 year of residency, which is like where you're actually working, but you're not getting paid really well, honestly. You're getting paid terrible. And you're seeing like the patients that a lot of people don't want to see, but you're getting the experience.
I had a question I wanted to ask. Did you always consider dentistry, or did you ever consider like any other like field in the medical, like surgery or pediatrics, or were you always just like in one specific path?
Like you mean pediatrics, like a pediatric like doctor, like a pediatrician?
Yeah.
Oh, so I genuinely just knew I wanted to be in healthcare because like growing up, I always had to like translate for my parents at the medical offices. And so it was like you're always speaking with these doctors all the time. And I always thought they were like pretty cool. Like they had this authority, they had this cool white coat. Like they looked like they were a vibe. Like they were bosses. And I always felt like I wanted that kind of like lifestyle. But I didn't know what I wanted to do until like literally my first semester in college. So that's when I was like shadowing, trying to figure it out. And I had a friend like at that time kind of just be like, yo, why don't you just like look into dentistry? And I was like, oh, I do like it because I had like growing up, I had braces. And so it was nice to see like my smile change. And then I had like a chipped tooth. Like one of my friend's teeth was like chipped in like half because I was like dancing and then I fell. And they literally fixed it like this. Like I always remember being at the dental office and being that patient that was like, what's this for? What do you do with that? Like what will this do? Like I'm pretty sure they were like, shut up, like just like numb me and like be quiet. But they were always so nice to me. And it always felt like you're in a spa. Like you're in a nice, beautiful chair, you're laying there, like you're hearing things, but at the end of the day, you come off with like something cool. Like even if you have a cavity, like that made your health better. So I always saw dentistry in a positive light, but until I shadowed them, then I was like, oh, like I'm a consider this. But I didn't like surgery because like that's just a whole other lifestyle. I think to become like an actual surgeon is like 10 to 12 years or so. And then to be a pediatrician too. And then I would just see like their lifestyle, like, I don't know, the kids that were going into pre-med just look so miserable as opposed to like people that were like in dentistry, which is like they seem chiller, like they had like more personality. And I wanted things that wasn't going to take too long. But, and also like, it's not a lot of risk. Like nobody's going to die. Like, they're like it has to be really really bad if somebody dies or like maybe they get like a heart attack on a chair, but for the most part like what you're doing isn't like deadly. So I like that. Like I don't want to mess with like someone's life like that.
Yeah, you can talk, Valerie.
So this is kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, the question, but how did you choose your dental school? Was it in-state, out-of-state? Because I don't really have that many options. In my state, we only have one. And
Where are you?
South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I want to ask how you decided on what school you wanted to go to, and how did you make that choice?
Great question. So basically when having gone to UCLA, I was like, I want to go to California. Like I want to go across the country and I want to do that lifestyle. And then time came to apply, and I'm like, well, like, am I really like, because one, you're spending money applying. So like you got to consider that. I think like every school you apply to is like $200. And then you got to send in your like transcripts and stuff. So it gets a little expensive. And I was like, do I really like see myself moving over there? Because like my whole family's in New York. And I was like, I don't know, like I don't think I'm ready for that route. So I'm like, all right, let me do the tri-state area. Like let me look like apply to like Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and like let's see what the vibes are. And then like I only applied to like six schools because I was like, realistically, if I don't see myself there, why would I go? Like why would I apply? Why would I waste that money? Even if like people are like it increases your chances, like I just think that you gotta know your worth. and if you go in with that, like you're set. So then when the time came, like I was accepted to all of them. So I'm like, damn, like what do I do now? Like I got to figure this out. And then you look at their tuition. So a lot of them were like, let's say like Penn, right? Penn was $100,000 per year when they were like giving me like, oh, but you'll get a scholarship. And I'm like, great, how much? And they're like $20,000. And I'm like, that does nothing. That's like a little penny in like the whole thing. And to me, it was like, okay, do I go for the name? Do I go because like it's nice to have that name or so? Because on top of like tuition, that's just tuition. On top of that, you have like other fees that you gotta apply for. So and then you gotta take in cost of living. Right now, living in any city is like super expensive. So add like 50K to that. And imagine that for 4 years. So then the money aspect came into play, as in like, what am I really willing to sacrifice for that? Like, is it very important to me or not? And then I went to a state school basically. And so state schools have cheaper tuition because I don't know if that's for every school, but for New York, like it was the cheapest one and like significant because my tuition at Stony Brook was 30K, like 30, 35K. And then, but you have like all the other fees on top of that. So it does add up, but it's much less compared to the other students. And you were getting like the same degree at the end of the day, you have the same title, but it was also like a smaller class. So then I narrowed it down to like, okay, do I want to be like in a small class but like in Westlandia? It was like in Long Island where it's like very suburby and I'm a city girl, so it was like it was such a different lifestyle to get acclimated to, but you're at the end of the day you're studying all the time, so you don't even have time for that for the most part. So then I just narrowed it down like, damn, which one do I do? And that's where you play the game of you go to a school like this school is offering me this. Can you match that? And they're like, yeah, like let's see what we can do. And a lot of them like, oh, because they have a lot of money. Like these schools are loaded. And some of them will like give you a little bit more and then like a little bit less. And then you kind of like figure it out then. But you always gotta remember your worth. Like they interviewed you for a reason. If you got a spot, it's for a reason. So now you gotta make that work. And then I was just like, no, I'm gonna go with the nice, cheaper option. And then I get without like with less steps than everybody else. And I'm still close to home. So I stayed like in state. And then I was like, maybe I'll move away like after I graduate. But New York is fun.
Yes. Anyone
That was
else?
super long.
Any questions?
Yeah, Dalvin, you can go.
Hi. I'm a high school junior right now, so like I'm looking into like colleges like in that process. But I've also heard about those like advanced like degrees where like you apply to both like college, like undergrad and like dental school together. Like have you heard about those? And like if so, like do you have any advice for those if you have any experience?
So I heard about that like when I was in dental school. I was like, whoa, what do you mean? Like you guys were set since the like first day, but not for like I think it's like for specific schools itself. Like for New York, I know that Hofstra did it, and they're like a private school. And I don't know, I honestly don't know the whole process of it, but you are guaranteed a way into the school in itself. Like they give you a chair. And for the most part, if you go to a school like that has a dental school in itself, or you're there for undergrad, usually they reserve some seats for students from that school. So you kind of like got to compete with those, if anything. But I don't know too much, but I know it exists. So it's definitely like true. There are programs like that. They're like pipeline programs or something.
Thank you.
Someone asked, what is the name of that process?
Pipeline. Let's see. Let me Google it. I'm pretty sure it's called like pipeline dental pipeline college. I'm not sure. Wait, I just kind of Googled that and then like Google AI showed me that this thing that I remember there's a thing in NYU called Saturday Academy. And it's for like high school students that want to go into dentistry to prepare them for college applications. And then you do like Saturdays at like the program itself. I remember like some of my friends did that. But the program itself, let's see. Okay, so it's definitely not Pipeline. Pipeline is for minorities, but definitely Google Pipeline stuff and you'll do that. College to dental school program. Let's see, Hofstra. Okay, so it should be like early assurance admission program. Early assurance dental program. There you go. Just Google that and then you'll probably get information on that.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat for anyone who is interested in searching that up. Do we have any last questions?
Hi, I wanted to ask, like, the dental school, like, it takes 10 years to complete, right? Did you ever feel like you couldn't, like, finish, or did you feel like it was impossible, and how did you get over that feeling?
No. 10 years is crazy. No. Dental school itself is 4 years. So you do 4 years of college, like you get your bachelor's in something, and then you go into dental school for another 4 years, and then you're done. So I would always like to see it as like a tally way, like every year, like there's one less tally to go through, like 1 year closer to being done. But I mean, I try not to think of it as like how long it was. At the time, I was like, okay, once I finish college, then I'll have these 4 years. And I always visualized it as what I'd be doing in those 4 years. So like in my first year, okay, like I'm gonna be taking a lot of these classes, but then I'm gonna finally see patients my second year. Third year, you get super chill. Third year is a little crazy, but fourth year is super chill. Like it's like being a senior in high school. Like you're just cruising at that point. Once you got your requirements, you're set. Your third year is kind of like where you like everyone's trying to apply to their specialties or so. It's kind of like junior year, you're applying to like a future thing. So it gets a little crazy because you got to balance like being in like seeing patients, and you got to do like the hands-on work in like the clinic. Then you got to do like homeworks for like sciences or so. But it's just seeing the end way, just like seeing that you'll be done, because the hardest part is getting into dental school, but then after that, like it's they want you to succeed. They don't want to lose a student either.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I hope that helped.
I just have one more question left I wanted to ask. I'm not sure if this is entirely accurate, but as a freshman, I often hear like my upperclassmen asking about. I mean, not asking. Talking about how like they want to go to like medical school, dental school, but then sometimes they're a bit like skeptical and afraid because they feel like they have to sacrifice a lot of time, like they have to sacrifice their hobbies, and like sometimes they think like they don't have like the commitment to keep up to medical school, and they're afraid that they'll like drop out and waste a few years. Like, do you have any like advice or like opinions you want to share about that?
Yeah, like it definitely sounds overwhelming. It sounds like a lot of things to do, like you have no social life, but not at all. Like I was traveling every year, girl. Like you got to make time for it. Like you have to have a balance with everything. Like there's no point of you studying all this and you don't have any friends. Like what's the point of it? Like at the end of the day, who you going to talk to? Like you got to be a social person. So for me, like Google Calendar was my bestie, because then I'll like put every time I was like studying like study blocks, but then I always have something to look forward to. Like at least every weekend, like Sundays are like holy days. Like you like study, but like also do something for yourself, give back, like in a way. Always make time. Like I always went to the gym. It's very important to like get physically like active. Like it helps your brain. It helps you have endorphins, and like you'll physically like feel better and like have more energy to do things. You don't have to run a marathon. You could literally walk the treadmill. I do 12 3 30, and then just get some energy from there. But it's you sacrifice things, but for like the benefit. Like imagine if you live with that mentality, you don't sacrifice anything, where would you be in 10 years? In the same place. Like in order for you to grow, you gotta like leave that part of you behind. but there's always going to be sacrifices in anything if you want to move forward. But you got to balance it. Don't just like you got to have something to look forward to is like what I'm trying to get at. Like if you're studying Monday to Friday, like Saturday, like just know you're going to your favorite Thai spot with your friends, and like that's what you're looking forward to. Or like next month, like you have this trip planned out, and that's what you're going for. Or like spring break, like you're going on this thing, like that's your motivation. Like it's like when you give a dog like a treat, and then like you give them like something to look forward to.
Thank you. So we're nearing the end of the session, but so here's the last slide with the program's LinkedIn. And before anyone leaves the session, can we just give Dr. Maria Tamay a big round of applause for coming here and speaking with us, because she took her free time as a busy dentist, as we all heard. So thank you so much for helping like educate. I know a lot of people are interested in being in medicine and in dentistry, so I think this session was definitely very helpful. I mean, it was very helpful for me, like considering that as a career choice. So thank you so much.
Yeah, guys, it was my pleasure. Follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to be my influencer vibes. I'm doing some day in my life sometimes, or like I just post on my stories. It's literally Dr. Tamay, like my first and last name. And if anything, y'all can just email me. LinkedIn, I use like sometimes. My boyfriend told me like everyone uses that, so I made one. But like it's so like in healthcare, you don't really see a lot of people on LinkedIn, but I will get the email if anything, or just email me too. It's my first and last name, or like mariatamay@gmail.com. Just ask me anything.
All right, I'll definitely put both the Instagram and the email inside our Slack, and I'll send everyone who attended this meeting, I will send you an email with that information. So yeah, thank you guys so much for attending the session. And yeah, that's the end of it. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
Thanks so much
guys,
for doing this.
if you guys want to reach out to Maria, you guys can. She's a really nice person. I know her personally. Like she's really nice. She won't be mean to you guys. So just reach out anytime. She'll love to hear any questions you have. So don't
I
be
knew
scared.
Katya when she was a baby. I knew her like
I know.
she didn't even walk. So yeah, anything, guys. Like I'm willing to help. I know like when I was doing it, I had like no one to look forward to. So like no one to ask. Like no one in my family did any of this. So whatever you guys need, if I don't know something, probably my friends know it, that I can always ask you guys for.
We should have Maria as our mentor of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Just hit me up.